you can do a comparison, but then you also have to do with just around the world. I think there has to be that comparison too. So obviously for baseball itself, I'd say someone like Ken Griffey's bigger, but Ichiro has the help of an entire nation. I mean, that yell, just how loud it was last night. I mean, photographers following him around 24/7 from Japan. I think that definitely is pretty crazy to have the whole country behind you.
I want to apologize to our viewers out there. Apparently, I had the audio from the game on.
And it's a good game. I'm not.
And Nathan even called it. He said, or I called it. I said, someone's going to break. And you said that Bob Lucky, our technical director, would have had it fixed. And yes, he would have. And he texted me just a minute ago to turn off the tape.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Anyway, getting back to your question, Ichiro had 241 hits, beat George Sisler's record. That's cool, but I dare say
that's just one season.
That was one season, but I dare say that we've seen a Ichiro before. His name was Rod Carew. We've seen we haven't seen a Griffey since Griffey.
Right.
There'll be one day, but I mean, like in my lifetime, I've seen another Ichiro before.
Yeah. I think for me too, though, this is like a comparison of like the 1.1% of Mariners. Like either of those guys, any day of the week, I'd love to have them on the Mariners in their prime. So it's like, for me, a little bit, it's like 1A versus 1B.
You could be right about that too. It could be generational. I mean, I'm older than you.
Yeah.
And so maybe Ichiro.
But their careers weren't that far apart. In fact, their careers kind of overlapped. Just Ichiro was a little later, and he's lasted a little longer.
Yeah,
and I think Junior also like left kind of at the right time. Like Ichiro's just kind of he's playing baseball. He loves playing baseball, and so he's just going to hang on as long as somebody will sign him.
Yeah,
which the Mariners did, and I think now he's like, I'm 44 years old. I think it's beautiful though to be a professional athlete and be in demand up into your early to mid 40s.
Just watching him run.
It's like kickers in football. He's 45 years old. Who was oh gosh, I can't think of his name right now, but
maybe Janikowski.
Yeah. But I mean, like even in baseball, you had Jamie Moyer and you had Bonds hitting to his.
Yeah, Kenny Rogers.
40.
Kenny Rogers pitched till he was 50 something, or not 50, but 40 something, 45, 46.
Yeah, I think was gonna on an article I'm gonna write about Ichiro. I was looking up though some other players. I think like
40.
Jeter's like 40, like even people who are alive right now, like Jeter's like 42. I think like Tracy McGrady's like 43, something like that. Ichiro's older than all these guys that have retired from forever.
Who's the guy with the Phillies, the pitcher? Oh, I don't know why I can't think of his name. Oh my gosh. He pitched a no-hitter in the playoffs. Oh,
how long ago was this?
It was because he pitched a no-hitter in the playoffs and he pitched one early in the season, like when the Phillies were good, like 20.
It's like
2010.
Is it Holiday or something?
Yeah, Roy Halladay.
Roy Halladay, that's right.
Yeah, Roy Halladay was old as a light bulb too.
Yeah, good Blue Jays pitcher too.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about how for us the Mariners fans. For me, the Mariners fans, obviously wearing a. I'm wearing a Kansas City. You're wearing a Los Angeles. And you're unapologetically a Detroit fan.
Yeah.
We confuse our viewers a little bit.
It's an off day, so
I don't have to wear it. I'll tell you.
Yeah, Conquistadors hat, Vegas 51s koozie, and a Kansas City shirt.
Well, you spread the love around.
Anyway, for us Mariner fans, how excited should I really get over a 2-1 win in game one of 162 games?
There was a coach, and I can't remember who said it, but he very succinctly said, pennants aren't won in April, well in this case March, pennants aren't won in March, but they can be lost. So, how excited should you be? You should be more excited than you were a week ago when they were just in spring training. Because spring training, I don't pay attention to.
A win's a win.
But a win's a win.
Yeah, for me, I think obviously I try not to this early in the season get too excited, but I think if the Mariners don't win the World Series after the game yesterday, then that'd be a huge disappointment now with one game here. Beat Kluber, Felix looked okay. I mean, it would be a disappointment if they don't win it all, right? So.
Yeah, but I mean, if they go 1-161.
Yeah. No, I think it's one game, but you're right. Like I like exactly that kind of idea of March, April. Someone like Cruz, hopefully, is on fire.
Well, and see, and that's
can
what I
start
think
talking about the future at least.
Yeah, that's what I think these early months of every season are about. Is about just kind of establishing yourself so that May, June comes around, and you know you're deciding whether you're going to be a buyer or seller at the deadline.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, you really don't kind of see how the season's going to shake out until at least the first 40 games.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about if the Mariners are going to be buyers or sellers. Let's take a quick tour through the roster.
Right.
Let me get you guys' opinions on the starters. I mean, Hernandez looked really good. The King looked like he's capable of doing something, albeit only allowed 80 some odd pitches. That might be what we see from the King, Felix Hernandez, for the rest of the season. What do you think about him and the rest of the starting five?
Starters?
Don't just get I know you look like you're ready to like dive in and say this is the best starting five you've ever seen of all time. No, actually, that's not what your face is saying at all.
Well, you know, here's the thing about it.
I feel like somebody's going to tell me my puppy died.
No. I feel like Felix does what your ace is supposed to do. If you're in a slump, you get your ace up, he stops the bleeding. So, you know, you feel good every time your ace is getting the ball. And the rest of them, I don't even know who the 4 and 5 are on the Mariners.
It's a revolving door. That's right.
Yeah.
4 and 5.
Well, that explains it.
Yeah. We'll see. One thing I did like was the way he pitched, where he didn't seem like he did get 4 strikeouts, but it didn't seem like he was chasing that. He kind of kept his pitch count kind of low. He wasn't as much attacking as Felix used to, and I think just based on what Felix is able to throw these days in terms of velocity, all that, I like that out of him. I don't want to say the injury word, so I will not continue anymore with that.
You just said it.
Moving on, because I don't like to see any.
I
don't like to see any ace get. I don't like to see any player get injured in any sport because I was an athlete in high school and college, and that, you know, if you're in that mindset of where you want to compete and you can't because your ACL is jacked up and you're out for the season, I just on a empathetic, is that a word?
Yeah.
Empathic level, you know, it's just I know what that's like, and that's just it sucks, man. So I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but barring injury, I think Felix is going to have a good season. I think the Mariners are. Here's the thing that you really want: you want to get out of the gate good, but not fall apart in May. So you want to be on the better side of your first 40 games. Then you want to kind of make sure that you solidify your buyer position by the deadline, because nobody really wants to be sellers if they're in it for this year. And then after that, you just want to have meaningful games in September.
Yeah, but
so
I mean,
there's 3 phases for me to the season.
Are the Mariners capable of hitting those 3 phases?
Yes.
The starters specifically.
The starters specifically? Well, if it was just a game of throwing a ball that didn't involve so many other elements, I would say no. But because they've got people who can hit, because they've got such a good bullpen, and because, you know, let's compare. The Mariners have Felix Hernandez as their ace. The Tigers have Jordan Zimmerman as their ace. Now that's after they got rid of their Verlanders and David Prices and their all of their Scherzers and their Cy Young winning pitchers. I just need a moment for that.
Yeah, if we're comparing Detroit and Seattle, then we got to start talking.
Well,
about
no,
World Series
because
again.
no. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
You know, I would feel much better, even if the rest of my starting rotation was not up to par. we'll say, with Felix being my ace versus Zimmerman. So because I feel like Felix has been in the organization long enough where he is one of those locker room leaders for the staff. And so I say they're going to be okay.
Okay.
As long as, you know, if they go, like if they give everybody else, you know, 5 1/3, 5 2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 1/3.
Yeah. And then just turn it over to the bullpen. It could be
It could
a
work.
very Royals-esque situation.
So, Nathan, what do you think about Leak? I mean, we all expect Paxton to get injured, but we don't know much about this
Yeah.
Mike Leak guy.
I just overall, I mean, I kind of tend to like ground ball pitchers. I don't know why. Maybe
See,
that's
I
all
like-
I
I
was
like guys
capable of
with
doing was.
Let your defense.
Yeah, I would
do
I
something.
would throw like have some movement on my pitches, a curveball or something. So maybe that's why I like ground ball pitchers. But I think to have a third guy that comes in, our infield's very solid and just hit the ball on the ground. Especially in this day and age where the ball seems to kind of go out of the ballpark when it's hit in the air, especially last year. I just kind of like that. He's going to eat up innings for the Mariners. He's going to hopefully sometimes be able to take some pressure off that bullpen because as much as I like 5 1/3 every game, I don't think that's sustainable through the whole year. And I think when you're following up Felix and Paxton with Leak, I think that's pretty solid for 3 starters.
Okay, you've been hounding me for the last month, both of you, about this bullpen core, these relievers for the Seattle Mariners. They have a nickname. They're called the Wolfpack. Are they deserved of this nickname?
No, they haven't earned it. No,
You said they're really good, though.
they are good, but I mean, you know, before you go branding yourself, I mean, show me something.
Young pup pack maybe or
Yeah. I mean, you know, I love the
Wolf
confidence. I love the, you know, this is who we are, and I love the idea within themselves that they are, you know, this other thing besides just being a bunch of relief guys. So yeah, if they're taking on that mantra, well, don't talk me to death. Show and prove.
Yeah.
So last night, Nathan, you saw Altavilla, you saw Diaz, everybody did, but Nick Vincent.
Nicasio,
Yeah.
Zepchinski, yeah.
You saw everybody shut down the Indians. I mean, and I think Nick Vincent, that's just a weird aberration that he had last night.
He kind of started slow last year and the year
Yeah.
before too, yeah. So.
Do you like this crew? Are you ready to crown him a little wolf pack?
The one sad thing is Phelps was just so awesome for the Mariners last year, and they lost him in spring training for the year with like I think a UCL that required Tommy John, and then Zick was really good last year as well, but they had to release him because he just couldn't get over the injuries. So they're really good. They're not as shut down as like I think we were hoping that they would be in terms of just like top to bottom having amazing guys. But we'll see what happens.
So they got to
Can't.
prove it to you too, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, last night with Diaz, when he got runners on, I think with maybe 1 out, I just had this natural Mariners thing of, you know, it kind of being big trouble, and maybe we're gonna give him some runs. But Diaz, more and more, just you know, struck him out and got the game over with, and I think that's pretty like solid. I think he's really maturing in that regard.
So to be fair, Ichiro didn't do much last night. He caught a couple of easy fly balls. Didn't get any hits. Should we worry about that left field position? In the last 11 years, 9 different players have started on opening day in left field.
Which is weird because you would think that right field would be the position that you would have like kind of flux and tumult in. Like usually you target your center fielder. You need your person in the middle, and whoever that ends up being, that's your guy.
Yeah.
But then you have, you know, right field, which is always just a little trickier than left for whatever reason in most ballparks. I just think that's kind of funny that left field is the spot that has been such high turnover.
I wonder if part of it is the Mariners perhaps don't value left fielders.
I think it's a little bit too for me of that's a lot of times you'll have a power hitter out there.
But
it
they
used to be
haven't-
Cruz. It used to be like Seth Smith, and
No,
I
but
think
they-
those are pretty interchangeable these days.
But they haven't though, have they? I mean, they had Dustin Ackley, Nori Aoki. I mean, frickin' big, goofy-looking guy. Mike Morris. He became a power hitter later, but he couldn't do anything when he was with us.
I just mean more with like a Cruz or like Seth Smith, where they would sometimes put him somewhere else. Like they could be pretty interchangeable.
Trying
Like
to,
Cruz will always
yeah.
be in DH, or things like Heredia and Gamble. They can be moved pretty quickly around in positions out to center based on injuries or right. So I just feel like left field, because it's kind of more considered an easier, I guess, maybe the easiest fielding position. Maybe first base would be, I'm not sure, but I just feel like they're cycling through because there's so many of these solid hitters in baseball, power guys, and they kind of keep just cycling those guys through. Where like, I guess in center you have more of your traditional.
That is possible. When you look at all-star teams, Major League All-Star teams, typically the outfield's full of a bunch of center fielders. Teams usually put their best defender in center field.
Yeah.
If not shortstop. Shortstop probably then center field. So yeah, left fielders may be just afterthoughts. Your guy that you're trying to hide, like you said. Defensively, Seth Smith or God, Nori Aoki was bad.
Yeah, it was just he had kind of, it was so tough watching games with him, even when he had to cover center, because every single would be like the guy from first would be getting the third, the guy from second would be getting home because he just could not throw it in. Like they would just be, I felt like it was just a Congo line around the bases when Ichiro was out there. When Aoki was out there, it was so painful to watch. Like, yeah, I was not a fan of that era for sure. So even though he's Japanese and I was biased, outfielding was a little tough for me to watch. Yeah.
Did you guys like this backup catcher that we saw yesterday? Zunino went out last second, hamstring or quad or something. Hip strain, oblique. It's all the same to me. They're muscles I don't use, so I don't ever strain. But what'd you think of the backup, Nathan?
Well, I think I don't think they had a backup to him. So I don't know if you remember, but I was at the game, so I didn't get the best idea of what was going on. But
he got one to the naughty bits. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was wondering why they were keeping him out there, but
yeah, I think they didn't have someone to back him, like Romine, someone from a non-catching position would have had to take over.
And a Romine.
Maybe they could have done what the Blackhawks did the other day, and put an accountant at goal.
So awesome.
Did you guys hear about
That was
this?
so awesome. That was amazing.
This
That was
is ridiculous.
So cool. He saved 7 for 7 on saves for like 15 minutes.
What?
He was the NHL requires you to have an emergency backup. So they'll just pick from like a beer league basically, or like not a little bit better than a beer league, but not even minor league, lower level than that.
Yeah.
And they've had a new rule requiring them, so they'll come to the game, they'll maybe get like free food, get to sit in the press box, but they of course never get to play. But
They're just happy to be there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the Blackhawks, like number one, he said he was surprised because they actually made him suit up for once, because their starter actually got injured, and then their backup had cramps. So with 13 minutes left, he came in, and he's literally waking up. I think it was 2 days ago. So the next day, he's waking up, going to his accounting job. Yeah, and he set one of the best teams that they were playing against. There was a couple shots right next to him, shut it down, 7 saves. Like,
Yeah, this
didn't get paid, but
yeah, this dude was in a beer league.
Yeah,
I guess he played college at Northwestern
I think Western Michigan
or Western Michigan.
Yeah,
all right,
something, yeah.
At a directional college somewhere.
Central Michigan.
Yeah, directional college. That's a thing.
You're from Michigan.
I am.
Show us on your hand where Central Michigan is. Boop. That's not where the college really is it?
No, that's really where it's
Is
at.
that where Central
like
Michigan?
Central Mount Pleasant, Michigan is right here. Detroit's like here.
You gotta show
and
the
then-
fan.
Oh, right. So Central Michigan University is right here.
And you lived
Detroit is right here.
Oh, okay.
Flint's right up here, and then Grand Rapids is over here, and there's really nothing else.
Ann
after
Arbor.
that.
How about it?
Oh, Ann Arbor. So you got Detroit, Ann Arbor.
Oh,
right next to each
yeah,
other.
Yeah, they're right next to each other. Yep.
And the Yoopers.
Way up here. Wait, can I do that? Yeah, there we go. That's a
Yeah, you
thing,
just need a, like, it's too bad it's not Wisconsin or something. You
Oh,
Use your name.
Yeah, no, that was pretty crazy. Got a question about Seager. I noticed you're wearing
His Corey's.
you're wearing his
Kyle's
brother's
brother,
jersey
yeah.
there. What do you like? Do you guys like Seager? Does he need to go? A lot of fans were on his case last year. If you look at just the statistics, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him.
And that's why I was going to go with it.
Yeah.
That's why I was going to go with it. I mean, you know, I like the guy personally. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I think baseball, it's pretty easy to forget sometimes because we always hear about like the Judges or the Stantons of the world that are crushing the ball and hitting all these homers, great average. I think sometimes we can forget that it's not that easy to make a diving play at third base and throw him out. And
It's all-
he's
it's all
pretty
reaction.
solid. I mean, one of the best defensive players. Hits the same basically every year. You know exactly what you're getting out of him.
20 years ago, all we did as Mariners fans was complain and complain. Jeff Cirillo's no good. David Bell's no good. This guy, that guy, this guy. And, well, here we have Kyle Seager, and all he does is put up 20 home runs every year, 80 RBI, bat 260.
Which is a decent season.
Yes.
Yeah, third base is
That's a
like,
super
yeah.
decent season. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, they want, like, you know,
Wade
the
Boggs.
game
Yeah.
wants, Wade Boggs every year or
Machado, Donaldson.
yeah, or who's the one, the Royals third baseman, like the dude.
Bell?
No, Schmidt. No, not Schmidt.
No,
Schmidt was Phillies.
keep
I know
wanting
you're
to-
talking
I
about.
keep wanting to say Boone,
George
but
Brett,
George
right?
Yeah,
Brett.
yeah,
That's
the
it.
one.
That's it.
Yeah, the one.
I love that run out of the dugout. that was ridiculous.
Was that the
whole
pine tar?
It's so
The pine tar
ridiculous. No one cares that much. It doesn't really help you that much to have an extra inch towards. It's not like he's hitting the ball in that spot or anything.
Wasn't
like,
George Brett in a Lords video? That song, They Might Be Royals, or We Can't Be
I
Royals.
hope he was. That'd be
Royals.
awesome.
Someone's not a royal.
Yeah. I know the song, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen the video for it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'm
but
so unhip.
I'd
I
be
don't know
very-
anything.
That'd be
You're
cool.
hipper than I am because I didn't know a damn thing about it.
No.
So-
Yeah, like Lord said, like that song's based off of a poster that George Brett was like. He was holding up like a 7-Up can. He's like, "Drink 7-Up," and she starts coming up with this song. We can never be. Is it? We can never be royals.
Well, the song's called Royals,
Oh.
and we can never be royals.
Royals.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know the words. Anyways, really, I thought that,
That was-
like
that was
a
based off
reference
of
to
him.
the Brits or
awesome.
something.
No, it was a 7-Up commercial. It was with George Brett. Now you know, and no one's half the battle.
The more you.
The one thing I do want to say about Seager though is if March, April, May doesn't go too well, for trade pieces, the Mariners, someone like Cano is not really that tradable. Same thing with Felix. They have pretty big contracts and they're kind of guaranteed for a long period of time. So the sad part about it is the players who are actually worth trading would be someone like Seager or someone like Paxton, because they are still fairly young in their primes. Their contracts aren't outrageous or going off for 10 more years. So
And actually,
that's the sad
Seager
part
also
about
has a
it, so.
de-escalating contract,
Yeah,
so he's actually at the apex of what he's going to get paid.
yeah.
And it actually kind of goes down because you got to look at like inflation of people's contracts. And
Yeah.
he's actually gonna be really cheap. We might as well keep him though.
It's tough because it's that side of things where you want all your players to come to the prime at the same time.
Mhm.
So like the Astros just did it. Yankees actually kind of did it as well, where you trade your best players, and it's tough to watch as a fan, but you trade your up and comers, your best players, so that you get a bunch of prospects that will hopefully come together at the same time. But
Okay.
I obviously have 2 Seager jerseys, one Dodgers, one Mariners, so I would be pretty sad if that happened. But yeah.
Well,
August
this is
31st, 2017 was just a horrible day for me.
why. What
And I
happened?
was in the middle of Burning Man at the time.
Yeah,
That's the
Verlander.
day that they traded Verlander. Yep. That's my guy.
So you guys had David Price. The Tigers had David Price.
David Price,
Scherzer.
Justin
Justin
Verlander,
Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer,
Who, by the way, did you see what he
Doug
did today?
Fister,
Did you see-
and Rick Porcello on the same starting rotation.
Would you
Don't
like-
talk
4
to
of those
Masters.
5
No.
had Cy Youngs.
Yeah. Okay.
Was Cliff Lee on there at one point?
No,
too?
we never had Cliff Lee.
Okay.
No, I think he was
Yeah.
an Indian, wasn't
Yes.
Indiana. Okay.
This is Seattle Sports Union Happy Hour, and as that is the name of our team, I'm going to get another drink.
Hey, me too.
Where's the...
I've been waiting on it. I'm like,
I
my
hit it
ice
back
is
here
getting,
for you.
now ain't getting no warmer or ain't getting no colder. Oh, shit.
Yeah, Eric Martin over there looked a quart low, so he's
Yeah, we started
reinvigorated.
talking about the Tigers' heyday with the pitchers there and all their World Series wins that we had, or that they had. So.
No, they did not have any World
Yeah,
Series wins.
I think that's why he's.
They
gotta
still
fill
haven't
up a
won.
little
They
bit.
won the division 4 years straight and could not get
Yeah,
the championship.
I would probably have a fill up my drink as well.
But you know, that's how you know it. You know, as great as those teams were, they had 4. In hindsight, 4 Cy Young winners on that team, and Doug Fister, who was like
Solid.
right?
So no one in the offense, so right? No great all-time first baseman. Right?
Yeah, we didn't.
That's a snide comment.
I know, right? Yeah, but I'm
No,
talking about pitching. But then,
yeah, but
when you look
it's
at the
not just
hitter,
pitching too, right? Yeah.
no, it's not just pitching. But you look at the starting lineup. You had Kinsler and Cabrera and Victor Martinez and
Prince Fielder.
Prince Fielder. Well, no, we didn't have Kinsler and Fielder at the same time. In fact,
Oh, okay.
We got out of Prince Fielder's ridiculous contract by trading straight up. You know, and the Tigers are still paying Texas for some money on that contract.
Since
Texas
Mr.
is still paying Hamilton too, or
Right,
Angels
exactly.
are still paying Hamilton.
You know,
yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
still paying everybody.
Since Mr. Martin here is trying to dominate the talk about his homeland, his homeland of Michigan, the great land where you can drink the water without any problems, and
Except in Flint. Don't drink the water in Flint.
I like Michigan, so
your Michigan Wolverines
I like
are
driving through there.
in the Final Four.
Yes, they are. They play tomorrow.
They play against Loyola-Chicago.
Chicago.
And of course, to round it out, we have Kansas versus Villanova.
Yeah, that was a surprise, but the Michigan, well, everyone knew that one, right? So everyone knew that was
What's your favorite moment so far in this Final Four, in this NCAA tournament?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the 3-pointer to win it against Houston. That was.
I was at a sushi bar in Vegas when that happened.
I was up at
And-
the rickshaw getting ready to do karaoke, and I refused to turn that game off until there was like 24 seconds left, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? They're down. Houston's got the ball. There's 24 seconds left. All I got to do is
it's over.
it's over. So I just went on about
Yeah.
my business. And then I looked at the scores later, and it was like Michigan with the 3-pointer at the end advances on, and I was like, what? So for me, that was the moment.
Yeah, we had some friends who were watching the game with both of our friends are from Michigan, and they were just running around the room hugging each other during that, and I was hugging my roommate, so so much fun to watch that kind of thing with young kids.
Yes,
How bad's
They
that?
always seem to make it.
How bad's that blood between Michigan and Michigan State?
it's real. It's
I text
real.
my coworker's boyfriend about Michigan State, what he thought of. Like, do you feel any pride for Michigan? I was just poking the bear, you know, and it was the ruthless, evil messages that came back to me.
It's real. Like, for me, anyways, people will ask, so what do you think's going to happen between Michigan and Ohio State? Be it football, baseball, hockey, it doesn't matter. It could be
That's a tough one,
softball.
yeah.
And my answer is always the same. Well, I hope that the ground opens up and just swallows both teams whole.
Yeah,
That's-
my dad's
Hoping
from
for that.
went to UCLA, so SC is kind of similar. Like his two favorite teams on a daily basis are UCLA, and if UCLA is not playing, then it's whoever's playing USC. So
Yeah, there was
there's
Yeah.
so bad blood.
Yep.
Like there's so
There's-
much bad blood there.
There
Yeah.
was a game, Portland Timbers versus who was it? Like LA Galaxy in the MLS playoffs, and people asked me, and my response to these things are I root for the asteroid. Wipe this planet out.
I root for the
Yes.
asteroid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't root for the asteroid. I mean, I want to stay, but
No, just that perfectly
But
sized
just
one
a
that takes out
perfectly
the whole
placed
state.
asteroid, yes.
takes them and their awful fans out. Yes.
Wipes out just a couple cities.
Yeah.
The whole-
By the way, awful fans. I went down, saw the Indians versus Cubs. I'm not liking these Cubs fans. I don't.
Cubs fans don't travel well, is what I've come to notice. Because I've seen a couple.
The jerks seem to travel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't like Cubs
I
fans
feel like travel,
in
travel.
Chicago, like at Wrigley, are fine.
Okay.
But Cubs fans on the road, I've seen the Cubs here and I've seen them in Detroit. And Cubs fans on the road just. Next topic.
They need to be a lot less, as Ross would say from Friends. So,
I think
Well, it's not even that for me because, like, hey, if that's your team and you're a fan of that team, and especially if you want to show your team support in a quote unquote hostile environment, all right, knock your socks off or knock yourself out. But
yeah, I just feel like I really like.
just
I empathize with, like, we have the longest playoff drought, the Mariners, right? So I really empathize with those, like, the Red Sox fans, the Cubs fans. What I'm not the necessarily biggest fan of is all of a sudden they win the World Series and, oh man, such a struggle my whole life. I'm just worried about the Cubs, my grandpa or aunt or whatever, and just everyone's all of a sudden wearing Cubs gear and the biggest Cubs
I've
fans.
heard that a million times, and I'm
see,
sick of
the
it.
Seahawks fans were the same way.
Yo, yeah, going
Were
there
the
now is
same
so much
way.
different.
I never will forget one time I was in the team
Oh,
store.
there's your play right there. Sorry, they.
That's okay. Tell the fans what they're seeing.
10th inning, guy on second. They hit a single. The guy's coming home. He looks pretty clearly. I mean, they call him safe.
And that was
The
the
dust
Tigers.
gets thrown up. You can't really tell what's exactly going on. I couldn't.
That was
when
the
I was
Tiger-
watching
Tigers
this,
game.
yeah,
Tigers,
Pirates.
Yeah.
And they called him out. They replayed and called him out, and I still couldn't even see how they could change that call. So, and then they ended up losing to the Pirates, I think, in the 13th inning.
13th inning,
Yeah.
13-10.
Yeah.
Who's oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just about how bandwagon fans really. When the Seahawks were really coming into their era there, I was in the team store, and there were these two ladies in there. Not to say anything about women in sports. My grandmother watches Sports Center more times a day than I do, but there were these two ladies in particular in there, and one of them went up to the counter and was like, "You guys spelled Russell Wilson's name wrong." And
Two L's.
two L's. Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
Luke Wilson. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I remember going to CenturyLink.
Who is
like,
now a
every-
Detroit Lion.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I just remember going, and it was a little quieter, a little less like stand up and yell and
Yeah.
more kinda,
Well, I think the thing that bugs me, this one phrase bugs me. We deserved it, because apparently people deserve championships.
Nobody
You have to
deserves
earn
a
it.
championship.
No,
Seahawks did not play well last
the studio audience seems to have an opinion.
year. They did not play well at all. They had
Yeah.
no offense. They did not play well at all.
That was 40 different audience members speaking in unison. They all sound like Haiti for some reason.
They really harmonized into one voice.
They did.
Yeah.
But so back to the Final Four.
Yeah, who's winning? Who's winning? Who's winning this weekend? Because let's face it. It is not going to be Michigan or Loyola. It's going to be Kansas or Villanova, right? No?
I mean, there's something to be said about going and just winning a bunch of games in a row. Kemba Walker and UConn did as well. Michigan just won their conference tournament. Sometimes the snowball starts
get hot.
rolling and you cannot stop it.
Teams
so,
get hot.
yeah.
Michigan, I think, is on currently a 13-14 game win streak through the conference tournament and the NCAA's. They are showing up. So here's I'm gonna
Loyola, but they're gonna lose to Loyola for sure, right? Loyola's winning, so
Of course not.
How big is that?
Now my answer is Michigan's going to win it all because I know nothing else to say. But here's how. Okay, so the bigger game this weekend is Villanova, Kansas, easily. I think Villanova's going to win that one. I think Michigan is going to win a nip-tuck affair with Loyola-Chicago. They are the Cinderella this year, Loyola.
Yeah. Even to a certain extent, Michigan is.
To a much less extent. Michigan got their 3 seed because they, like, based on their whole regular season, Michigan is looking more like a 7, 8, 9 seed. But they got hot. They won the Big Ten tournament. They've been, and that's how they were able to get the 3 seed. Now, if you look at them in November, there's no way they're a 3 seed. But they had some really big conference wins, and they won the conference tournament for the 2nd year in a row. So, and they've been playing well with a few hiccups. The first weekend against Montana was not a great game, and against Houston, they almost lost. But Michigan, here's what Michigan has over the other 3 teams. Michigan is by far the best defensive squad left in the tournament. Now,
and they have the best football helmets. Go on.
You poking the bear.
No, I stick with the bit, and they have. I don't even like their helmets, but okay.
Anyway, best defense. They have the best defense.
But basketball wise, they have
Okay.
they by far have the best defense left in of the 4 teams still standing, and they shoot the threes extremely well.
But, okay.
Kansas and Villanova come down to 2 things if you want to beat them. Okay. Villanova has what's his name? Jalen, their point.
Bridges?
No, Brunson, something like that.
Brunson.
Jalen B.
Yeah.
We'll call him Jalen B.
Yeah.
If you can distract and disturb him and knock him off his game, or if you can keep them as a team shooting poorly behind the arc, you got a shot at him. Similar with Kansas. What's his name? Devontae Graham.
Yep.
If you can stop Devontae Graham, Kansas is exposed.
What? Nathan, am I wrong? Kansas has more athletes than any of these 4 teams.
Villanova, for me, I mean, I like pick Villanova in my bracket, so maybe I'm a little biased, but just watching them, they're just solid. 5 people, they play really good. I think they've had maybe the best defensive rating. Obviously, they've had somewhat of an easy route, but I think they have the best defensive rating out of any team remaining, and one of the best in the tournament. Offense, everyone knows about it. They can shoot the 3 amazingly well.
But when
they
you
play
throw them off that 3 game.
Yeah, so obviously, if you don't make 3-pointers, you're not going to win the game. 3-pointers isn't as easy.
But that's their bread and butter, though. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong.
I think they're the best team, but they have, like, if you shoot threes and it's a 1 game,
You guys
then
are
you're out.
wrong. Kansas has got 5 better players than any of those teams. And I'm calling Kansas. It sounds like you're calling Nova, and you're calling Michigan, which means
Go Blue.
Loyola-Chicago wins.
Right.
honestly, I don't think any of us here, though, would complain if Loyola-Chicago.
No.
No. I mean, when's the last time an 11 seed won it all?
I don't think it's happened.
No, it's happened.
I think
LSU did it in 1980 something, 85, 86, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
it's
like
been done.
It was like an 8 though.
Yeah, but back then
No, they were
11.
Back then, fewer teams went to the playoffs, so you had better. Those were better teams.
Sure.
Only the brackets weren't 16 per division or region. I think it was 12 per region.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there was no play-in game.
Yeah, there were
all
no
the things
play-in,
that they
yeah.
added for commercial dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think for me, Kansas. I think if they win, it's like you said because of Graham.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll have that just player take over, and it's not. You're right. Like they have Azubuike. Like they have solid players all around. Graham didn't even play that well in the last couple games, but it just reminds me of like Kemba Walker, Trey Burke, where one guy can kind of really lead a team. So I think that's the danger of Kansas. Villanova for me.
No, but they're tough.
They're just top
They're
to
tough.
bottom.
They're
They're
solid,
so stacked,
solid team,
well coached,
solid
everything.
team.
Speaking of
Michigan's
Villanova,
on the run. Yeah.
speaking of Villanova, you got Villanova, Loyola-Chicago, even other teams like Gonzaga, Butler, all these mid-majors. This is no longer a trend. Mid-majors now have the ability and the opportunity, or at least a way to make some noise.
Well,
What's
that's
happened?
because they're recruiting better. They're recruiting better, and I mean, let's not get it twisted. The NCAA is a racket, but they know how these mid majors are getting hip to how to make it happen.
What are they doing?
I think they're going out and getting these players and saying, you know what, you can be a big fish in a very small pond. Let's win our conference, get to the tournament, and then show them what we can really do. That's what happened with Gonzaga.
What
I
is
think for me, it's coaching. I think you look at almost every time the Final Four, there's a big name on every team for who their
I don't
coaches
think
are.
John
Obviously,
Beeline's a big name, though.
you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
mean-
feel like he is because they've been so consistent. And
Yeah, but he's only been in two.
Yeah.
This is only his second Final Four. In
Yeah, but I just feel
decades,
like
so,
once
I mean,
you,
he's not like
yeah.
that.
But just it's never anyone that you don't are like, oh, the team like they're not
Well,
coached very well.
you look
I
at-
just feel like
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
always have that
Well,
solid
you look
coach.
at Nevada in Reno, Eric Musselman, who I didn't even realize was still coaching. Like, I thought, I mean,
What's
he-
Larry Brown doing these
Yeah,
days?
exactly.
SMU.
Is he really?
Really?
Yeah, that's why they made the tournament last year.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, it's
I
just
didn't know
Avery
that.
Johnson's at Alabama.
I heard about that.
Tubby Smith was on. I don't remember one of the tournament teams that was doing pretty well. A lot of these guys just. I think basketball is something different than like baseball or football, where
Sure.
you can have 5 pretty solid, 6, 7 pretty solid players spread around the nation. And I think the difference when it comes to the tournament, maybe during the regular season, some things can be different. But when it comes to one game and out, I think that coaching is a huge
Winner go
deal.
home.
How does Duke not win it next year? Duke has, yeah. I
Here
don't
it is.
get. I
Here
don't
it
see
is.
how do they call that out. Like it misses him.
We're
it
looking
looks
at the
like.
replay, and the Detroit
I don't really
runner.
know. The Gardenhire got
Wow.
ejected right after, but yeah,
Oh, Gardenhire's
Yeah.
going crazy.
First of all he did was kick the dirt up. I mean, and they
yeah.
tossed him over
he
that.
covered the plate with the kick. I
Yeah,
think.
All right.
his
Oh,
back.
yeah.
His back was to us.
Yeah, yeah.
He may have said something not quite PG.
Yeah, but I mean, this is
I
Gardenhire,
would have gotten
though.
ejected though. I would've
Everybody
gotten-
loves. It's like Dusty Baker. Everybody loves Dusty Baker.
Actually, I know some people that don't like Dusty Baker.
Well, you know what? They are just un-American.
Well, they are Giants fans who didn't get their championship and they're whining about it.
How are they? They
It's
won
like-
3. They won 3 and
Right,
5.
they beat the
With
Tigers
Baker?
in
no,
2012.
but
No, he's after
now,
Baker,
yeah, but
yeah.
how can you be sore about it now? Like, come on.
Well, I don't know,
I mean,
like,
yeah.
get over it.
Yeah, yeah.
However,
The rally monkey was. How are you going to beat the Angels? in the
rally monkey. You could
It's-
not beat
it's
the
fake,
rally
yeah,
monkey.
Yeah, no one could have beat the rally.
No one could beat
so,
the rally
yeah.
monkey. Is the rally monkey even still a thing in Anaheim?
Unfortunately,
Probably
it
not.
is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was in spring training last year against a Mariners versus Angels game, and there's these people with their monkeys.
Well,
Wow.
No, I'm not impressed either.
Are they real
it worked. I
monkeys?
mean,
No.
they won it. So
These
because of the monkey,
stupid
nothing else.
sock
Right,
puppet
right.
monkeys.
Stupid
We
sock
all have-
puppet monkeys.
We need to get rid of all mascots. I'm sick of them. What do they do?
The
No.
moose? You're hating on the
I'll,
moose?
yeah, I'll punch the moose.
Does the moose have a name?
Mariner Moose.
Mariner Moose?
His first name is Mariner. last
Mariner,
name is-
last name Moose. Is
Yeah.
that's on his driver's license?
It's not Bullwinkle or Rocky.
No.
No,
It's
it's
the
yeah.
moose.
Mariner M. Moose.
Mariner M. Moose.
But yeah, I just.
Can you imagine him at getting pulled over for a DUI? Do you know who I am, man? I'm the Moose, brother.
Mariner Moose.
Those guys, I mean, they get pretty well. The Philly Fanatic, the Chicago
get paid
guy,
well, don't
and
they?
they're
Oh,
yeah.
athletes.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are
Oh,
like
yeah.
top gymnasts,
Yeah.
top like.
Well, I
Crazy,
remember
yeah.
the San Diego Chicken was like, he was like booked at like all sorts of events all around the
Yeah.
country. Like he
They
was
like make 5. The top guys make a lot. So,
yeah.
but just to
I'd
fit.
still punch a
yeah.
moose if I had the chance.
One more thing on the
The
Final
Final
Four
Four.
though. I want
Yeah,
to switch over
moose
to the
and
women's
moose.
game.
Moose abuse.
Moose abuse. I'm going to switch over to women's Final Four. So Mississippi State
Yeah.
won today, and they're going back to the finals for a second year in a row
Against who?
versus either I think UConn or Notre Dame.
Oh, so
And they're the ones
so
who
basically
beat-
UConn.
that-
They're the ones who
game is
beat
going
Notre
on right-
Dame or UConn last year.
They beat
Mississippi
UConn
State.
last year though.
Yeah,
Did
but
they?
Yeah, they're the champions. They're the reigning kind of.
I think South Carolina won it last year.
No, it's Mississippi State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they beat UConn last
Yeah,
year.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish they'd spread the talent out a little better.
In women's basketball?
Yeah, it's all 4-1 seeds. Like UConn.
So
It is all
hasn't
4-1
lost.
seeds.
Here,
Yeah.
Here's one thing that we didn't talk about. In the men's game, the one and done aspect of basketball, teams like Gonzaga have like 4 or 5 seniors every year. You know, like
Right.
they got guys like sticking around. Excuse me. So they have like some chemistry, having played with each other for a while. I mean, like UW, Markel Fultz was on the team last year for the entire year. Woo! But I mean, it took him half a season to figure out what to do, and then after they were out of it, he kind of flaked out and
So,
phoned it in.
I was about to bring it up too. Next year will be the year that number one. I don't know. Krzyzewski's been a little bit weird to me lately. Just because he always gets the top prospects and
On
we
your
don't
Twitter,
win it.
or,
But
like,
no,
does he
no.
call you? Like,
No, just
Is he sliding
Like,
like
I'm
wondering what's going on. But
Like,
next year
hey,
will be.
Nate, what's up?
I
There-
need a point guard.
They have the number 1 prospect, the number 2 prospect, the number 4 prospect, and the number 6 prospect.
Right.
I think, or even the 5. The number 3 is undeclared. So they have like 3 out of the top 5, 4 out of the top 6 prospects
So they're
in
gonna-
all of basketball. These just studs. Number 1 and number 2 as well. So if they don't win it next year, we'll see. But that's a perfect example.
Wait,
of
who
like
doesn't win it next year?
Duke.
UW?
Duke.
Oh, Duke.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what happens if like
You know, I'm.
they're
what happens?
stacked.
What happens
they're
if
so
they're like
stacked.
the Fab Five? Back in the '90s, there's the Fab Five for Michigan.
Yeah,
They had one season; they didn't win it all. 4 of them left to the NBA,
Yeah.
and they were terrible the next year.
yeah.
Or just
So-
not as good. But I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Oh, and
I don't
also
like it.
that was '89 that
89?
Michigan won it.
They lost.
That was with Glenn Rice.
and-
Yeah.
They lost to that like Loyola Marymount team. That one they scored I think like 128. The Hank Gathers.
Hank Gathers.
Hank
yeah.
Gathers.
That just like
Yep.
just run and gun like the
Who's that?
original Warriors.
Who's Grandmama?
That's David Robinson.
No,
No,
David Robinson was from Navy.
What
Um,
team? Is he from?
Loyola.
I thought Grandmama was David Robinson.
No, Grandmama was. God, he had a nice little NBA career. Played for Charlotte for a long time.
And I think Charlotte got.
We will have to
Glenn
look
Rice,
that up
so-
and then reconvene next week and answer that trivia question.
Yeah.
Or comment below if you know who Grandmama was.
It's not Sister Jean. That's not.
It's not Sister Jean.
No. That's Sister Jean.
She's a nun. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this week. I am Abraham DeWeese.
This hour.
I'm Abraham DeWeese, and with me is Nathan Savage and Eric Martin. Eric Martin, you got a band that just released a record.
Yes, I do. Thank you for the plug.
Care to plug that?
Plug in. I'm going to plug. So I have an album, Eric Blue, BLU, and ampersand, The Soul Review, REVUE, as it applies to the arts.
The camera's that way.
Right. Well, I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, Eric Blue and The Soul Review. And
Great album.
I got an album out now called Tasty Cakes.
Yes.
And it's on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon and all the usual internet places. SoundCloud if you're cheap.
Tasted them cakes, right?
Tasty Cakes.
Are there?
That's
is there,
powdered sugar on the cover. If you look it up, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Is there upcoming shows at all? Or?
We just had our release show at High Dive in Seattle here last Sunday, and then our next show is a Tuesday show. But it's a good venue. It's Central Saloon in Pioneer Square. But yeah, the album's everywhere. Tasty Cakes, Eric Blue and the Soul Review. It's on sale everywhere.
Excellent.
So,
Nathan, you got an article that you're writing for Ichiro?
Ichiro, D.
Ichiro.
Gordon, and then after they go 3-0 this weekend, I'll be writing.
And you'll find Nathan.
Hey, I love that. Hey, please take the Indians out 3-0.
And you'll find Nathan.
That would be awesome.
You'll find Nathan Savage's articles on our website at that's www.seattlesportsunion.com. Also, it'll be reposted on Twitter at SeattleSportsU. Check us out. Have a great night, everybody. Again, go Mariners.
Go Mariners, yes.
And Tigers, go Blue!
Well, that was fun.
Now, how do you turn this thing off?
Oh.
Might want to edit it before you ask that.
I feel like keep all this.
Hey, I wanna write some articles too, man.
Oh, sure.
If that's all right. I mean,
That is
I'm not
all right,
trying to
yes.
steal your Kool-Aid.
No, there's nothing.
It is
There's
not.
no Kool-Aid.
But just, something that comes up because I have a lot of things in my head that I want to talk about, like old school baseball managers versus Moneyball managers.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I just, who's left from there, who's coming up here, like the hangers on versus the emergers, and
Yeah.
who's winning that.
I think
Moneyball is winning right
particularly
now.